May Jesus be praised and onward with Mary. A blessed and holy day to all of you, dear children, in the sacred hearts of Jesus and Mary, and in the most chaste heart of Saint Joseph. Welcome back to our morning segment, Saints and Coffee. Today is Thursday, the 3rd of April. Like everyone else, by now we are aware that Easter is near. We are in the 4th week of Lent. As you can see, I am traveling because I am slowly, without haste, naturally making my way to Bari, where on Saturday there will be, as we will now say, the prayer meeting with the faithful of the small Apulian remnant. Last night there was Don Enrico's catechesis, very beautiful. I would invite you to watch it. It really was interesting to choose to do this series of catechesis. Let's all congratulate Don Enrico together. About catechesis on the family. It was lovely then to see that beautiful image of John Paul II placed on his desk. Well, I don't think it was his desk anyway, wherever he was. There was this lovely photo of John Paul II because he really was the patron of the family. According to the heart of God, the defender, the champion of the family, according to the heart of God. And so thank you to Don Enrico, who gave that whole interesting, demanding but evocative reflection on the creation of man and woman during the days of creation. The same. Today is Thursday, so at 4 o'clock there is the prayer of the Sentinels of Bethany. There it is at 4 o'clock on the YouTube channel. This group of consecrated women, both single and married, who have offered themselves to God for the sanctification of priests, pray together. Look, dear children, all of you from the little group, even those who aren't part of it, I'm referring to the female universe. This work is a very important one, willed by the Madonna, and it carries a treasure, obviously, as they say, in jars of clay, but it is a work desired by the Holy Virgin, and it is very pleasing to heaven. This group of women, who gather every Thursday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon to pray through online social media and from the little Nazareth to pray for the sanctification of priests. Therefore, I make an appeal for other daughters to join this group as well. And then today is Thursday, this evening at 9 o'clock. There's a catechesis you simply can't miss, really, I'm telling you, unmissable. You try watching it, and then you'll tell me, Don was right. This is the 26th episode of the catechesis series on the Book of Revelation, the 27th episode on the Book of Revelation. From my commentary book on the Book of Revelation, The Symphony of the Lamb, which you can request at the office or pick up at the prayer meetings. This evening we are talking about the mark of the beast, about 666. These are the two themes, the mark of the beast and 666, that are both found in chapter 13 of the Book of Revelation. Very well known, very familiar, but they do require further exploration. And as I will say, these topics are very dear to the evangelical and Pentecostal world, and unfortunately little known in the Catholic world. So Domini also wants to commit to promoting knowledge of the themes of the apocalypse, because they can always be very useful to us. As you can see, I'm off to Bari slowly. Saturday's prayer meeting gathers Apulia's few faithful. Well, I don't understand why 666 is missing, the mark of the beast. The direction didn't like it, but I understand the number. The direction, the mark of the beast, and 666. This is the post. Share it, share it, share it at 9 o'clock on the YouTube channel of Radio Domini Nostra. I'll be waiting for you this evening. Don't miss it. It's very important. So as I was telling you, I'm traveling, as you can see, so I hope, or rather, I hope the signal isn't disturbed, in which case, please be patient, dear children. We're moving forward in an incredible way. We're carrying the truth forward. Yesterday, I met 2 young university students in Caserta, along the city's main street. They recognized me, Don Minutella. The little nuns were with me. They stopped me, and it was interesting to talk with them. And they share the battle, but of course many do not take a stand even when they agree with you. What I want to say is that I told them, it's mathematical. I don't have to make anything up. The one Bergoglio leads is not the Catholic Church, otherwise it wouldn't exist. Abu Dhabi Fiducia Supplicans and Amoris Laetitia. I said it's an objective fact. If that is the Church of Christ, then the Church of Christ has become heretical. And this is impossible, because the Church is holy. It is holy in its customs, in its morality. It is holy in its doctrine. Taken as a whole, then individual sinners are, one might say, well, it's Bergoglio's problem. But I remind you that he is the Pope for many. In short, it's an incredible situation, really incredible. As I was saying, I'm traveling and heading to Apulia, where on Saturday there will be the next 3 meetings, the final 3 meetings. In the meantime, on Saturday, please, faithful of the little remnant in Apulia, you too from Salento, make this sacrifice just as we priests do. Come and see us. It would be lovely to see those I met in Lecce last September when I went to Salento. At 4:30 in the afternoon at the Hotel Majesty in Bari, there will be an opportunity for confession. Father Enrico will be there too, along with me and Brother Celestino, and then there will be Holy Mass with the consecration to Our Lady, preceded by the Holy Rosary. This is the event, and then next Sunday, the first Sunday of Passiontide, will be in Lamezia Terme in Calabria, with the small remnant of Calabria. Duc in Altum Calabria, you who remain Catholic. See you at the Grand Hotel Lamezia, in Piazza Lamezia, where we've always met lately, as always at 4:30 in the afternoon, with the same program. Finally, the last appointment, which has now become indispensable. I think this is very much appreciated and brings great joy to the faithful of the small remnant of Eastern Sicily, because it has become a compulsory stop, the one where the end is written every time, the end of each of my apostolic journeys. That is, we'll see each other in Catania, as has now become customary tradition. When I return at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, at the Garden Hotel, number 12, Madonna delle Lacrime Street, in San Giovanni La Punta, there in Catania basically, always at the hotel where we met. To you as well, dear faithful of the little remnant of Eastern Sicily, I say, Duc in Altum, lift up your hearts. And let's meet up if you're not coming to Little Nazareth, those of you who can't come to give us your best wishes. I would also like to promote 2 important initiatives, especially one. You know that every Friday evening we do the Rosary Prayer, as you know, this year. Of the Rosary 2025 with the pioneers and the families. So, I wanted to tell you that I have the feeling, and I have proof of it, that many of you think the families have already been chosen, and so you're not signing up to support them. Actually, you're mistaken. This error has consequences, as hardly any families enrolled to recite the Rosary at the start. So please call the office already today, especially if there are families calling from abroad who want to pray the Rosary from abroad, which is even more beautiful for us. Call during the day. We have a couple of families, but please call and let us know your availability to recite the Rosary on Friday evening so that we can make the necessary arrangements. Call either the voicemail or our collaborator, the Secretary Rosanna, the President of the Sentinel. And the other piece of information concerns the Rosario Perfetto, which is progressing, as you know. People have signed up after there was a period when the schedule, especially at night, was lacking. So the work is continuing without any problems. And it continues on its path. But before talking about today's topic, I wanted to tell you that in the meantime, the assistance continues. The effervescence of this year, 2025, shows no sign of stopping. With a veritable liturgy, Donald Trump, yesterday at the White House, announced the tariffs, which amount to 20% on the entire European Union. And this, in the long run, dear children, will lead to a real economic war. Because, for example, Italy exports a great deal of agri-food products to the United States of America. Spaghetti, pizza. The classic products of Italian cuisine in New York supermarkets. Or from, I don't know which other city in the States, they're priced, let's say, rather affordably for the masses, but with tariffs. With tariffs, for those who might not know, you end up making them available only to those who can afford them. And this, mind you, in the long run has a huge impact, not a small one, on the global economy. Then Trump, I'm not sure if you saw it, I wanted to watch it because that man is astonishing. He showed in the White House garden a chart he was holding with all the countries he considered subject to tariffs. And to Europe he gave 10% had been announced, but now the European Union will instead find itself hit by 20% tariffs from the United States of America. Von der Leyen, imagine her, has announced that Europe will respond in kind. Who will pay for all this? If you haven't understood yet, we will, the people, ordinary folks. Poor people will pay the debt of this economic war of tariffs between the European Union and the states. Why is this battle really going on? It is hard to say, and above all, it is hard to say where. He will lead all this. Once again, we appeal to the Holy Rosary. For me, it is always very beautiful to recite it with you, even when I cannot, like today. For today, the sentinels are reciting the Horatio Eburnia, the 3 rosaries in a row. But I assure you that I'm always there, fingering the Hail Mary beads when I'm not live, not studying or working for you. I'm there praying the rosary. My favorite time is the one I spend on the Holy Rosary. For the Holy Rosary is the rosary is my joy, my breath, my light. The rosary is everything to me. If it weren't for the rosary, I wouldn't know how to carry on. And then the other piece of news I wanted to comment on with you before getting to today's topic very briefly is the celebration held in the Vatican yesterday for the 20th anniversary of the passing into heaven of John Paul II. It was presided over by Paolo. Several cardinals were present, including Stanislaw, Zivich, and Wojtyla's secretary, and Parliament lingered for a long time over the communion taken by Meloni. So obviously the president of the Italian Council. What I wanted to say is this. Nothing to say, obviously, about Meloni, because personally I have nothing to say. On the contrary, one has to admire that composed attitude of hers. You can clearly see she's there, praying. Once again, women, even in this, just don't know how to put on an act, unlike men who sit there, often with their legs crossed. Do you remember certain ceremonies with political representatives? It would be better if they weren't there, in some cases, sitting with their legs crossed, chatting among themselves, answering the phone. And instead you see Meloni there praying with a reverent attitude. You can clearly see Giorgia Meloni, who is there also receiving communion and kneeling down. There she receives communion kneeling and on the tongue. There she receives communion kneeling and on the tongue. However, it must be said that this system is worrying for all of us. I will explain better what I mean. We have no doubt that that is the false church, because otherwise there wouldn't be the blessing of gay couples, which is an official fact. I would like to tell all the unacum that it's pointless for you to go on with those 2 excuses, to Lanzetta and 2 and 2. I don't know who said first that it's not a magisterial ex cathedra pronouncement, but that's also what they're saying over at the Nuova Bussola Quotidiana, because the whole Unacum galaxy, first of all, says it's not an ex cathedra pronouncement. And then the other thing you're saying is that it's a thought of the so-called Pope Francis, which you can choose not to follow. As a consequence of the first assertion, both assertions, the premise and the consequence, are unfounded. Because in any case, I was saying to the 2 young men I met yesterday in Caserta, Pope Francis, as you call him, has written documents that are official, mind you, whether you agree or not. But the Pope has decided that communion is to be given to divorced and remarried people, and blessings to gay couples. In fact, it seems to me, by the way, unless I'm mistaken because I don't pay much attention to these things, correct me at once, it seems to me, by the way, that Meloni, if I remember correctly, should be separated, divorced, if I remember correctly. But with Bergoglio's mercy-driven openness, which is absolutely against the gospel, Meloni received communion. I may be mistaken, but I won't look into it. Maybe they're not living as husband and wife. It's an internal matter. What I would like to say, however, is that it's official. This is the official magisterium of the Church. But what can you possibly think? That a pope will come along and eliminate fiducia supplicans? Get it out of your head. You are deluding yourselves completely. You'll see he's right. Dominatella, with our sodality confreres, we are not waging a futile battle. It is sad to see that that's the system. It's a well-organized system, because the Church is like a 2,000-year-old elephant. And so Meloni, who goes there with the Prime Minister who takes communion, is one more reason to, so to speak, in quotation marks, try to let oneself be discouraged. Because there really is a risk here. They decided in the face of what was the coup of 2013, and especially because of what followed from it, because not only is Bergoglio not the Pope, but he is a heretic and an apostate. This evening you will follow the catechesis I'm giving on the Apocalypse. You'll realize what I'm saying today. Connect it to what you'll hear. This evening, the unmissable catechesis at 9 o'clock on the Mark of the Beast. It's 666 because 666 director is not the mark of the beast and 666. Listen to these catecheses and you will realize that this is a time of great apostasy. Only those who choose to remain blind fail to notice that there is apostasy in Rome. So even if Maloney, the Prime Minister, goes to attend the Mass in honor, this is very nice, of John Paul II, and there are cardinals celebrating, and all those who are rejoicing to honor Pope Wojtyła are there, that is still an apostate church. Now, if that is the Church of Jesus Christ, if that is the official church from which we would have withdrawn because we are the ones outside of, so if we are the small remnant, we of the fellowship, Domini Nutella, we are outside the church, then there's only one conclusion to draw. It is the conclusion that is the Catholic Church which has become apostate. Nothing more worrying, more unreasonable from a theological point of view. If that is the Catholic Church, officially, the Church of Rome, the one founded by Jesus Christ, has become apostate and heretical. Sorry, I didn't mean to. And the two young men I met yesterday, especially the first, listened, not that he agreed, but he did. If that is the Catholic Church, as you insist on saying, then come to terms with it, because you have become heretical apostates. This is the fact. It's incredible. It's really there. You can see the apocalypse. That is why I comment on the book of Revelation and urge you all to be Marian, 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 to pray the rosary, because there is no alternative, sacrifice, martyrdom, prayer, immolation, because there's nothing else to be done. It is a system that has formed and appears, humanly speaking, with a breath of the mouth, as it says. In his 2 Thessalonian letter, Paul foretells the Antichrist's emergence and fall. Humanly speaking, however, it appears to be a situation, let's say as stable as in the leopard, an establishment that's there, that knows it carried out the coup in 2013, that there is a pseudo-heretical pope who is not really the pope, and yet everything goes on as if nothing had happened. This is what I wanted to tell you. Do not be discouraged, dear children, because who is in the truth? The truth is like the lion, it defends itself. Got it? The lion does not need the help of the gorilla or the crocodile. The lion is the king of the jungle, the lion king. The lion defends itself. It does not need to make appeals, because truth is like that. It is like the lion. Sooner or later, the roar will prevail over everyone and all the other animal sounds in the forest. This is what the Catholic Church should be like. It should uphold the Abu Dhabi ethic, where it is said that all religions are equal. Then Bergoglio, in case anyone had tried to justify him, reiterated it in an even more sensational way, if possible, in Indonesia, when he said, "You Muslims, you remain with the one you worship. Your God, we worship ours. Everyone has their own God, but does it seem reasonable to me that a pope speaks like that? But if a pope speaks like that first? What if a pope speaks like that? Thus he finds the welcome of the Cardinal Council, of the Episcopal Council, of the priests, and of the various flowers. Dear friends, forgive me. This is the church I no longer recognize. Bear with me. This is not the church. It may be the Catholic Church. The gates of hell shall not prevail against Piesa." All this serves as an introduction to today's topic. I asked the control room to broadcast the title, the window for today's episode. There it is. Let's read the title together. Cardinal Fernandez, cardinal in brackets. Because, as you know, there is a return. Control room. Indeed. Control room. No, it's me. Sorry about that. I was saying that today's episode is quite interesting. It's about this cardinal. Cardinal in quotation marks, because he's not a cardinal. Fernandez, the porno theologian, the one who, to the scandal of the consciences that have remained Catholic, sits there undisturbed. This shows the power of ecclesiastical Freemasonry as prefect. Of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, well then, him, the so-called Cardinal Fernandez, there he is, Bergoglio, a saint, immediately. So, I'd like to say that this reflection of mine is ironic, even though unfortunately it contains something true, as you'll now hear. I'd like to begin, however, with a sentence by Victor Hugo, who said that it is from irony that freedom begins. It is from irony that freedom begins. We can only be ironic in the face of what I'm about to tell you. So, the day before yesterday, Tuesday the 1st of April, April Fool's Day as they say, the blog Mesa in Latino picked up a piece of news. Namely, it is asserted that Fernandez, in a series of 7 key points, did canonize his cherished Pope Francis. I don't rule out they might do it. A saint before he even wants to be. It could happen. It never happened even with the great saints. But I don't rule out that Fernandez, who as we know is the inspiration behind Amoris Laetitia Fernandez. Fernandez is the one who wrote books about the female orgasm, about how a woman reaches sexual pleasure, so a theologian of unattainable stature for heaven's sake. There's no debating Fernandez's theological depth as he steamrolls over the messages of Medjugorje, much to the dismay of Father Livio and Radio Maria, from where everything goes on as if nothing were shocking. Basically, Fernandez managed to write that long-awaited document in which it says that the messages are mostly the result of perception. And yet that statement is no longer part of this document. So Fernandez clearly wrote exactly 7 remarkably convincing reasons that clearly show why we truly need Pope Francis. Thursday, 3rd April, Eastern Years, week 4 of Lent. You reason through theological porn. Then unfortunately the line is disturbed. Maybe the orgasm will come later. The orgasm has arrived. Cardinal Fernandez, after making the announcement, when he talks about Bergoglio, goes into raptures, but that's just how the Bergoglians are. Jesus Christ doesn't matter at all. Trust me, for these bishops, cardinals, theologians of Bergoglio's pontifical court, of the pseudo-Pope Bergoglio, Jesus Christ means nothing. What matters is Pope Francis. Do you remember that in the past few days I commented again on the interview with the Superior General of the Jesuits, Father Sosa, who, when asked by the journalist, but Matthew chapter 19 says that Jesus says that a man who divorces his wife is marrying 2, responded, Communion is Father Sosa's response, shocking, nothing clearer than apostasy of an antichristic nature. Father Sosa's response, the Superior General of the Jesuits, I prefer Pope Francis. His own words, I commented on them. So it really is a sort of collective hypnosis, which starting from Rome has mind control over consciences, unfortunately. I mean, Pope Francis, I prefer Pope Francis. This is exactly the way that Pope Francis conducts himself. There's nothing more to say because Jesus Christ no longer matters. So now I will read the 7 reasons why, according to Fernandez, which plainly show that we need Pope Francis. It makes me laugh. It's absolutely the Orpheus Circus. The Orpheus Circus is the Orpheus Circus in Rome. There is something beyond the Tiber, you see. Book the ticket. What a pity. The signal. What a pity. There's no live broadcast. The control room isn't telling me anything, so I don't know whether we're live or not. They say the connection is good. It doesn't seem that way to me. It doesn't seem like it's a topic that can be dealt with. Maybe the control room team died without saying a word. So as I was saying, have patience, dear children. What do you expect? Unfortunately, as I had told you, when I'm traveling, this is how it goes. Now I'll stop maybe for a few minutes and let's see if we can wrap things up. Move ahead, the other van's behind. So I was saying, The 7 reasons why we need Bergoglio. Still about Pope Francis, who is staying in Santa Marta and needs to recover from his illness. He is rising again. At Easter, he rises. Let's see what these 7 reasons are for why we need Pope Francis. The first reason, which is very important, is that Pope Francis, as many would attest, is unequivocally a man of God. Look, these people are clearly in love with the gospel of Jesus. Here, please take this. Una, come, take it. This one is for all of you waiting for Pope Francis to end up saving the church. As our dear friend, beloved brother and father Benu says, when the Pope comes, reopens the investigation into Benedict XVI and throws out all the cardinals. So, you understand what they're expecting, poor souls. But this is a joke. The first reason is a joke because Francesco is a man of God, clearly in love with the gospel of Jesus. Sorry, and I'd like to say, but one proceeds logically. Let's leave aside likes and dislikes for me. I've never liked these two, not even from a physiognomic point of view, let alone neither Bergoglio nor Fernandez. Last night, Don Enrico gave a beautiful catechesis, the first in his series. Watch it and congratulate him. Argentina, the friends of the small remnant in Argentina know it. I love it very much. Buenos Aires is a beautiful city, don't mention it. Some faces, especially Fernandez's, and that one really has the face of someone who's taking the mick, all right? And in fact, he does make fun because he says that the first reason why we still need Pope Francis is because he, Pope Francis, is visibly, really visibly, you can see it in his face, especially in certain expressions, in love with the gospel of Jesus. He loves this gospel so much that it changed him. Got it? Pope Francis loves the gospel so much. He is visibly in his face, visibly in love with the gospel of Jesus, that it changed him. So if Jesus said in the gospel, I am the way, the truth, and the life, no one comes to the Father except through me, and Pope Francis can say all religions are the same, you see? He loves the gospel so much that he changed it. If the gospel said in Matthew chapter 19, that was John, I am the way, the truth, and the life. If a man repudiates his own wife and marries another, he commits adultery. Pope Francis could say, yes, this is my intention, communion for the divorced and remarried. I'm off to Bali for Saturday's prayer with Apulia's faithful remnant. Understood, dear children, yes? Pope Francis loves the gospel so much, as Cardinal Fernandez says, it's plain to see it on his face how much he loves the gospel, that he can change it. Keep this one. Let's hope he lives a long life. Pope Francis. Got it? You truly deserve it. Blessed day to you, dear children of the Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary, and of St. Joseph's chaste heart, because I hope and pray that he delivers the final blow, as I suspect, that binds you all, before crossing to the other side. You deserve it. Lord, grant me this grace for the sacrifice of the priests of the Sodalicium. Make a pronouncement ex cathedra, for once and for all. Thank you, Don Enrico, for your evocative, if demanding, reflection on the creation of man and woman. By infallible dogma I declare, and then he throws in another heretical and apostate nonsense. Thus you shall get what you deserve, wretches, cowards, priests, bishops, and cardinals of the devil's court. Why are you silent? And when you have to say, in union with our Pope Francis, your guardian angels scourge your soul. When you say in union with our Pope Francis, the archangels scourge your conscience. You kept it going, Kemba, for 12 years. The imposture. And now you deserve the prefect of the faith, who wishes that Pope Francis may remain there so that he can love the gospel. And the elderly lady who changes the channel because I'm shouting, she's right to change the channel. Anyway, my shouting and my cries stay inside him, when it must be united with these. Wretches, may God in his mercy grant you the grace necessary to convert. In the face of a heretical, apostate, false pope who is Fernandez, you deserve what Fernandez says. You're worthy of the circus. The first reason we must keep Pope Francis is because he is visibly in love with the gospel of Jesus. Keep this, and then I couldn't care less. You act all high and mighty, but the more hypocritical you are, all the more you're right-thinking people. And of those, the little gentlemen of the court, I give you the finger. I, Dom Minutella, give you the tia. This. And it's still not over, I should hope. It is not over yet. You deserve this. I tell you in the name of the Lord. What a circus! What a burlesque never seen before in the 2,000-year-old one. Sacrosanct, though marked by great troubles. History of the Church. If this is the Church of Jesus Christ, dear children, then the Lord has either made fun of us or abandoned us. At this point, have patience. Blessed day, dear children of Jesus and Mary's Sacred Hearts and chaste Saint Joseph. If Fernandez goes so far as to say that the first reason why Pope Francis must be with us is because he visibly loves the gospel of Jesus, after he changed it as no one had ever done before, and so a cocktail of lies, deceit, falsehood, untruths. Hypocrisy, lies, I said it, and faced with all this, then there are two possibilities. Either the Lord was wrong, because he said the gates of hell shall not prevail, or here we have someone being made pope by the St. Gallen Mafia, deposing Benedict XVI, who, however, initiated a different path for the authentic existence of Roman Catholicism. And that's us. Yes, that's us. There's no denying it. We're the ones who didn't bow down, even if then there's Maloney, who maybe doesn't know anything about it. Actually, surely that's the case. Who goes to receive communion on the anniversary of the death of John Paul II from the hands of apostate bishops and cardinals, because anyone who doesn't shout the truth, the Lord considers them complicit. No one will be able to say they didn't know. Ah, yes, 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 dear Unicum, as soon as you present yourselves at the gates of heaven, with all your red cassocks, with all the lace and frills, these most hypocritical of traditionalists, you will hear the angels say, Don Nutella, Don Nutella, Don Nutella, because the piglet was the first to cry out the truth. And now, thank God, there is the fellowship, which we hope will grow in number, because it is incredible to see the complicity with which priests make themselves available to silence, to mortgage their integrity, to the work of demolishing Catholic identity. So the first allowed me to shout, and that is indeed the primary reason why we need Pope Francis. He is a man of God. Pope Francis, yes, yes. When God allowed us to see him, Cardinal Fernandez, right in that guy's face, he was absolutely right. When there was the Pachamama procession, it was clear that Bergoglio was a man of God. He was so radiant, he was transfigured, the light of God was in him when she was worshipped in the Vatican gardens. Pachamama, with priests and Franciscan sisters with their buttocks in the air, thrown to the ground, with their foreheads to the floor in adoration. The idol, because then the bishop, who was silenced in Brazil, said that satanic rites are still performed there in honor of Pachamama. Bergoglio wanted her in Rome. He's a man of God, of course he is. A pope, is he really a man of God if he covers up for bishops and priests who are pedophiles? And instead reduces to the lay state the priests who shout the truth at him. He truly is a man of God. One must see which God they worship. The first reason is because Francis, the God visibly in love, and he says it about the others. Then because this pope, indeed a remarkable figure, advises us to be cautious, for he sees far beyond what is plainly visible, using an intuition uncommon and transcendent that defies immediate perceptions. The third one, because he has bomb-proof courage that allows him to say what politicians keep quiet about. The fourth, for he is an exceptionally gifted poet, one whose creative spirit shines through, and who with artful gestures and a sparing choice of words manages to succinctly capture that which many others struggle to express with long-winded and overly elaborate musings. The fifth, for his unwavering consistency, austerity, and complete dedication. The sixth, a poet with unshakable courage who says what politicians keep silent. Because he is the most powerful voice for the poor and the abandoned of this seventh, the last one. Because this world needs a father, someone who reflects the fatherhood of him, of God like him. Here are the 7 reasons I read after pausing on the first one. Particularly the 7th one is also noteworthy. It enters into history, this set of 7 reasons for which we still need Pope Francis. Now I want to amaze you. Thank you, Don Enrico, for your intriguing yet challenging take on the creation of man and woman. I agree with Fernandez, especially that we still need Bergoglio. Yes, I believe and hope that the fellowship agrees with me. We still need Bergoglio. We need him because we hope he will make an ex cathedra pronouncement, that he may send to hell those who have worshipped him and still worship him for their own personal gain, like certain traditionalist circles, to properly discredit that duplicitous man, like Monsignor Nicola Bucks. And I say this from personal experience. He had already buried Bergoglio alive. It's time for Bergoglio to put an end to all these people who worship him. Let him die. So I agree with Fernandez on this. We still need Bergoglio. The last one is truly interesting. This world needs a father. Yes, Pope Francis truly is a father. You can clearly see it. You see, for example, it would be interesting to look at that image there of the little Chinese girl to whom he turns, clapping her hands with a lovely fatherly expression. Yes, it's truly paternal. Pope Francis is very fatherly. We have experienced it ourselves. He reflects the fatherhood of God. Yes, it reflects the fatherhood of God, inviting sinners to remain in sin. But excuse me, isn't it written in the gospel, which he is clearly in love with, go and sin no more? Isn't life itself, as it comes, a contradiction of sin no more? I'm slowly off to Bari for Saturday's prayer meeting with Apulia's few faithful, and we are witnessing a true and proper schizophrenia, in the sense that, as you can clearly see, everyone gets what they deserve. That's why I cited Victor Hugo's words to you. At the beginning, it is evident that irony is the very first form of freedom, and indeed, we continue to make clever use of it, even if only in a rather modest fashion today. I wanted to finish reading. I'll take the calls right away because I have to get going. I stopped because the signal was weak. Otherwise, I'd risk not making it to the appointment on time, the one Messai Latino wrote about. This peculiar text, syrupy and decidedly juvenile, captures Break-Hien, the essence of youth. He sounds like a kid in love. There is an infatuation, without a doubt, of a diabolical kind, and above all, the signature of the Argentine presbyter. Prefect, nothing less than from the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith, moreover translated and broadcast by the Vatican media. It sends shivers down the spine and leaves a Catholic with an adult and mature faith dumbfounded. One wonders, are they still at it? They wonder, the ones clinging to the Latin Mass still wonder, why must Don Dominatella not exist? One must never say that perhaps he was right. They say it among themselves, even in the corridors. Those in hiding are saying it, in many circles, una cum. They're starting to say it to one another. And what if that wretch had actually seen things clearly? And we boycotted him, no problem, adopted, censored, and persecuted him. But what if he was right at this point? But that mustn't be said, so they're still wondering after 12 years, they're still asking themselves, where is this heading? You're pathetic, my dears. Mass in Latin is pathetic. But where shall we go? How can it be after 12 years? What is planned? What reason explains this obsequiousness? Thank you, Don Enrico. Challenging, evocative creation reflection. After 12 years, Mass in Latin, but you don't feel any pity for yourselves. Haven't you understood that that is the Church of Satan? Which Father Pio spoke to Don Amorth about, that this is the fulfillment of the third secret of Fatima, that this is the time of the great apostasy from the second letter to the Thessalonians, that Bergoglio is the false prophet of Revelation 13. But how can you not see this? How can you? How can you not notice this? And so, even after 12.5 years, you're still asking yourselves where we're supposed to go. Cardinal Fernandez. He is no prestigious theologian. Indeed, he holds no top doctrinal post in the Church after the Supreme Pontiff. And then the Cardinal Prefect, did he perhaps forget that the Bishop of Rome is the Vicar of Christ? You see, poor souls, they're there complaining of Stockholm syndrome, complaining about being imprisoned, but no longer able to do without their jailer. That's what the Anakim are like. That's what the traditionalists who claim to be faithful to the Pope are like. They need treatment. They must get treatment. They too need psychiatric care because they are suffering from Stockholm syndrome. They complain about the prison in the dead of night, but they can't do without it anymore. They've started a love story with the jailer. What a Bergoglio! The prefect was appointed directly by Jesus to lead the church with the proclamation of the gospel at its heart. The Holy Father, as described by Cardinal Fernandez, seems to be everything except what he truly ought to be. Announcer of gospel truths. Why don't you shout like I do? Why don't you speak out instead of just complaining? And then celebrate? You really should try. I hope the Eternal Father provides in this, but maybe he is already coming. You don't have the courage to say it, all the embarrassment and discomfort of conscience when you dare to go up to the altar and say Mass in union with Pope Francis. And if you don't say more and make people believe, just to avoid problems, that the Pope, yet then you don't name him, and you're even worse off, because besides being false, you're also hypocrites, and vice versa. The Argentine Cardinal is talking about Fernandez. The blog, a very close friend of the pontiff, reveals, albeit in a certain language, that iconography of Pope Bergoglio which has done the most damage to his pontificate. But how can you write like that? To be above all a political and social leader, an activist of the popular world, a true prophet of change. And no, but you should also be mindful of the fact that yes, under scrutiny, the social question, Bergoglio changed the gospel. If you haven't noticed, read it. A document called Amoris Laetitia Fiducia Supplicans, the conclusions of the Synod on Synodality, the Abu Dhabi document, the scattered declarations here and there from the Argentine. Anyway, the issues remain. Messai always says those too, but Pope Francis is at the head of the Catholic Church and the Secretary General of the United Nations. Got it? Family catechesis, I adored John Paul II's photo, desk or not, as he was the family's patron. Well, got it? Thank you, Don Enrico, for your evocative reflection on man and woman's creation. The little sheep. Understood? Blessed day to all, dear children of Jesus, Mary, and Saint Joseph. Sorry, I need to get off. Thursday, 3rd April, Easter's near, 4th week of Lent. I mean, is it clear to you little lambs? The little sheep. I said they're little sheep. But did you know he's not Pope after 12 years? Oh no, the little sheep, yes, but the unicum, no. Because right-wing and left-wing Catholics, those at the extremes of the spectrum, should find comfort in the Pope. What's Rome's bishop to do with it? With political or ideological platforms? Why do the cardinals close to him, the Pope's collaborators, feel compelled to promote him as a political leader, a social agitator, a reformist, and an intransigent figure? Is it still possible to nurture and grow one's faith in Christ as a choice and a grace that are independent and separate from personal political convictions, leaving the judgment to one's own conscience? Or have we reached the point where, in order to confess and practice one's religious faith, it is obligatory to enlist in a purist or conservative church? My dear Maria, there's no point beating around the bush. Don't beat around the bush. You're just beating around the bush to avoid seeing things as they really are. The Lord leaves you what you deserve, the punishment. Pope Francis's work is not finished. There is one thing I agree with Fernandez on. We still need Pope Francis. Stop. That's the truth. We still need Pope Francis, and we hope he continues. So there's no point in going around twisting words. It's useless. I'm telling you how things are. I've been telling you for 12 years, more or less, 8 years, because for the first 3.5 years, not even for 8 years. Of course I say it, I shout it out like I just did, and then go ahead and act all offended because I'm shouting. Thank goodness someone shouted and roused some consciences in Italy. The truth is this, Bergoglio is not the Pope. Accept it, come to terms with it, have the humility, even if belated, it doesn't matter, to accept it. And come with us to the church that has remained Catholic, because the prophecies foretold it. Rome is the seat of the Antichrist, Bergoglio is the false prophet, Fernandez is Asmodeus, just as Bergoglio could be Lucifer. Do you not realize this, that is not the Catholic Church? If it were, Roman Catholicism would have turned into a kind of circus burlesque. But how can you not understand that? Or worse, you do understand it. But since you don't want to admit that someone like Domini is right, you stubbornly keep asking yourselves, with Stockholm Syndrome? But the Pope can do this, the Pope can say this, the prefect of the faith can say this, the prefect of the faith can do this. In the meantime, there is the year 2028, when the ecclesial assembly will take place, in which the face of what they think of the Catholic Church will be changed forever. Your responsibility is immense, because with your silence you have strengthened it. The partisans of Satan. Well, my dear ones, that's all from me for today, because I have to get going now. Maybe we'll take just one call, if there is one, we'll see. In the meantime, I remind you about the Sentinel prayer at 4 o'clock, and then to comment closely on everything we talked about this morning, between the serious and the humorous. Although I shouted, I promise I won't shout tonight. I'll be waiting for you for the catechesis at 9 o'clock this evening. Don't miss the appointment. Share the post. There it is. The mark of the beast is 666. Thank you. On the YouTube channel, where I invite you to subscribe, give likes. It's very important because likes circulate. And so the videos can also become known to people who perhaps haven't. Who knows if they ever knew and found out who we are. And then I remind you to support the project because the expenses are enormous and sometimes we struggle to balance the budget. And there's this project to carry on in Trebisoliga that I was just talking about yesterday. In short, I want to hope that we'll manage. There's the postal current account, PayPal, and also the IBAN. With these, you can help the project bring the work to fruition. Otherwise, it's really very difficult. Let us pray. Let us pray the Holy Rosary. The Hail Mary is our strength, one Hail Mary after another. Look, when I haven't yet prayed the Rosary, I say, who knows how this will end? Here we're running the risk of pretending nothing is happening. A sort of supplita ecclesia that cannot be applied in this case, so Bergoglio is accepted as Pope, and we look ahead trying to act as if nothing is wrong. God will not allow it. Yet when I pray the Hail Mary, I speak for myself. I regain strength. I know that we will have the victory. Victory is ours, dear children. We of the little remnant are, as I was saying on Monday morning in the Saints' Coffee column, we're getting hit from all sides, precisely because we shout the truth. And since we shout the truth, because this is the time of lies, they all come after us because we shout the truth. Meanwhile, Fernandez says that Pope Francis is a man visibly, nothing more ironic to comment on, visibly in love with the gospel of Jesus. He changed it. He's so in love with it that he changed it. It's like a husband who kills his wife. Why kill her? I loved her. I loved her visibly. He loved him so visibly that he made him invisible. Do an exercise since no phone calls are coming in. Do an exercise like this. Look on social media, take the bishops and cardinals who speak, even someone composed like Parolin. Take note. They no longer speak of Jesus Christ. Take note, take note. And you'll see that you'll agree with me. They no longer speak of Jesus Christ. They speak of Pope Francis. The bishops, those who are chosen to go to the dioceses in their inaugural homily for taking possession of the